Disclaimer, disclaimer, read all about it.
Hey, everybody. Hey, G-Ma. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Hey, Laura. Oh, yeah. It's been a morning with Miss Cannone, Judge Cannone. So we're obviously watching the verdict, waiting for something to come back. Let me pull up the court law and crime
We'll be
review.
in recess, and you'll remember that the jurors were instructed that we won't take any questions or verdict during 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Okay. The jurors were instructed in the instructions I gave yesterday that we will not take a verdict or a question from 1 to 2, so everybody's free to go for lunch.
All rise for the court, please.
Okay, so I am obviously behind. Let me open it. I missed this. I made a video about the judge basically telling Alan Jackson this morning that the verdict slip not having a not guilty checkbox for the second charge of manslaughter was okay because that's just how they do it there in Massachusetts. No, I don't like that. I want to see other verdict slips. I want to see other murder trial verdict slips in Superior Court to see if that's the case. If that's the case, people be appealing it after they hear and watch the hearing retrial. Okay. Or hear about it in prison, because that is unacceptable. And I'll get into that while we're watching the verdict watch, because it is important. This is insane, the amount of things and the amount of happenings in this case to set Karen up for failure no matter what. You are innocent until proven guilty. And you should be afforded every instance of success to defend yourself from the charges that are brought to you or on you by the government. Okay? It's that simple. And they have thrown every caveat they can at Karen Read. It is quite obvious, no matter what you feel about her guilt or innocence. It's ridiculous. Shout out to the OG fan who has seen and heard a lot of bullshit. Shout out to you, fan. Still going strong.
Judge, we're back.
Right, I'm gonna stay silent for Hey, Carrie. Hey, Rocco. Everybody hit that like button. Get me out of this shadow ban. My God. Those 3 strikes were rough. Thank you, guys. Yeah, is there static, Gmail? If anybody hears static, just let me know.
All right, so the verdict slip will go into the jury. I instruct you or Officer Leiden to remove verdict slip for count number 2 from the jury, have the jurors fold it, put it in an envelope, and seal it. And we'll bring that in and we'll mark that for identification. I'm also going to send in a transcript of the supplemental instruction I gave this morning. May we mark that? Madam Court Reporter, please. I have copies for counsel if you'd like.
Do you hear me? Does it sound a lot better now? I've had audio issues for 2 days. I'm going to listen to myself and see what's going on. Is it better or worse? Let's see. I've had audio issues. Okay, that sounds good. All right, awesome. Oh, I hate hearing myself. Oh, no thanks. Okay, so let me push play now.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, we'll be in recess. And you'll remember that the jurors were instructed that we won't take any questions or verdict during 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Okay? The jurors were instructed in the instructions I gave yesterday that we will not take a verdict or a question from 1 to 2. So everybody's free to go for lunch.
All rise to the court, please.
Okay, so from 1 to 2, they're gonna. I didn't hear that. I'm so scatterbrained right now. I'm so pissed
I
off.
instruct you or Officer Leiden to remove verdict slip for count number 2 from the jury, have the jurors fold it, put it in an envelope, and seal it. And we'll bring that in and we'll mark that for identification. I'm also going to send in a transcript of the supplemental instruction I gave this morning. May we mark that? Madam Court Reporter, please. I have copies for counsel if you'd like. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, we'll be in recess. And you'll remember that the jurors were instructed that we won't take any questions or verdict during 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Okay? The jurors were instructed in the instructions I gave yesterday that we will not take a verdict or a question from 1 to 2. So everybody's free to go for lunch.
All rise to the court, please.
Okay, I'm getting it now. So from 1 to 2 their time, which I'm in Texas, so it's noon, and they're in Eastern, right? So they're an hour ahead. So for the next hour, they're not taking no questions. And no verdict, no nothing. I guess that's just the rules. All right, so let's go. Let's get into what I'm so peeved about. All right, so Jesse Machado from Fall River Reporter graciously offered us the verdict slip. So let's look at that. I'm going to show you the original. I don't know if we have it yet. That's updated because it just happened. But here's the verdict slip that Alan Jackson was about to box somebody over. I would, just being honest. So here it is. All right. Commonwealth versus Karen Reed verdict slip. This is the second degree murder while operating a motor vehicle under the influence. This is the murder charge. This is the top dog charge that they upgraded erroneously from manslaughter. So in the above entitled case, we, the jury, say that the defendant is not guilty of this charge here. Let me break this down. I don't even need to be a lawyer, excuse me, to know that this looks shady. All right. So not guilty. Let's just say that the jury makes the right decision, in my opinion, and says not guilty. Then you come down here to number 2, which is the whole argument of Alan Jackson, where it says, okay, guilty of offense as charged. Manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence, which should have under the influence of alcohol, because that's the only thing she was under the influence of. And it says, check one or both of the following. What does that say? One or both of the following, meaning there's no choice for not guilty. There's no instruction of a choice as to whether you choose not guilty. It's very leading. So you could either check one or both, of manslaughter while operating the motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, and or manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater, which please explain to me how there's a difference between the two. I guess it's under the influence and drunk. That kind of, I don't get that. That's a double charge that I think is unnecessary, but hey, I'm not, I don't make laws. So it's saying check one or both. What are you going to do? If there's not, if there is an absence of a not guilty check, you're going to think you got to check one, because that's what it says, check one or both. Tell me that is not on purpose. Tell me how that is not intentional. That is absolutely intentional. Yes, otherwise, this right here is appealable on the fact that they did not include, which is the normal procedure. Let me go back. Normal procedure would have this. This is the district court's normal verdict slip. We find the defendant not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser charge included offense. Then the next option is we find the defendant guilty as charged of that top dog charge, the first charge. Then it has check boxes for finding them guilty of the others if they feel like she's guilty or whoever it is. That right here, these two would mean if they check this box, no other boxes need to be checked, right? These other ones are if they find them guilty for each specific charge. It's really simple. I'm making it more complicated, but I'm so mad because this could look funky to some normal Joe Smo with a normal lawyer who isn't paying attention and wants to go home and eat his crab cakes. You know what I mean? I want to know if this is the normal procedure for a verdict slip on other Superior Court murder cases in Norfolk. That's what I want to know. Larry Foreman, the DUI guy who I love, and he's very handsome, says there is a distinct difference between the way the forms are supposed to look and the way that they look in this case. The verdict form is supposed to read, we find the defendant not guilty of the offense, like I just explained. Now, thank goodness Bev came to her senses or got caught and is backpedaling now and is being accommodating to the defense because she knows, oh, damn it, couldn't get away with that. So thank God she changed her mind. But let's look at my video that I made where Alan Jackson talks about this. And he gets sassy, which I love. I do. He had every right to be pissed. Every right. Who's threatening you? Girl. She said, yes, ma'am. Hey, my OG mod don't play. You met your match over here, Carrie. And yes, I do have a cold, by the way. I always have colds when it's pollen-ridden in Texas. So let's watch this. Hey everyone, it's Eve, and I'm giving you an update on the Karen Reed jury deliberation and verdict. Alan Jackson came in heated this morning because of the verdict slip that was given to the jurors and the format. Let's listen to what was said in court.
All right, so why are we out here?
Your Honor, I just saw the verdict form.
She came in saying, why are we out here? Why am I looking at your mug right now? Well, he about to tell you. He about to tell you everything. But not only that, yesterday I noticed something in the Walsh case, murder case that's going on in the same courtroom, in the same judge, which is Bev. She said something after the defense and Karen left, looked at them and said, "I'm so happy to see you." Meaning, thank God it's not them. Thank God it's a new face, new trial. So over this last one. I was like, girl, bye with your pettiness. To do your freaking job right, Bev. That's right. Hey, Mr. Eve, what's up? Hello. Mr. Eve has been bothering me to take this damn walkie-talkie exam, handheld radio, so I can get my certification so we can talk on the walkie-talkies. That's what I call them, even though they're handheld radios. Why is this not going full screen?
Forms, and as we discussed yesterday, the amendments the court indicated it would make them.
Oh, no. Okay, I did not say I'd make it. I said I'd think about it. I said I was tired and I needed to think about it.
What you said before you were tired and you needed to think about it was you agreed that there needs to be not guilty options for subordinate charges under count 2.
I said that it made sense to me, but no, I did not change it upon looking at it because the verdict slip, this verdict slip as submitted to the jury, is exactly how it always is in Massachusetts.
I ask you a question then. I don't really care how it always is in Massachusetts. I care about whether or not it's appropriate.
It's appropriate.
Different things.
It's appropriate.
Let me make my argument, if you wouldn't mind, Judge, why it's not appropriate. For a superior charge, they have to decide that she is not guilty of the superior charge, and that is the starting point of whether or not she is guilty or not guilty of any subordinate charge, often called a lesser included.
This is an example of what he's mentioning. On the first checkbox here, it says lesser included offense, which means not guilty on all charges.
Once they decide that she's not guilty of the superior charge, now there's two additional charges that they've been instructed they must decide whether she's guilty or not guilty of. How do they decide that she's not guilty of the first subordinate charge, involuntary manslaughter?
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Mr. Jackson?
Oh. Ma'am, he asked you a question. And he wants the court to answer, meaning Bev. Speak up, Bev. You didn't have any problem speaking up earlier in the trial, during the trial, before the trial, and pre-trials. Pre-trial hearings, pre-trial motions. Speak up. Say it with your full chest, Bev.
I'd like an answer from the court. How do they decide that she's not guilty of involuntary manslaughter on that verdict?
That's their decision to make.
And how do they make it if they don't have an option to check a box that says not guilty?
And she knows. Oh, she knows. She knows. Oh, yeah, she knows. She knows. Got caught. Because she was told about this yesterday by Alan Jackson and Yannetti. They talked about it. And she was going to take it under consideration and completely went, meh. And she also said, let me remind you, she also said she somewhat agrees with that stance. And then just didn't think that the defense was going to be weary about her decisions. And look, come on, Beth.
They don't check the box that says guilty, do they? And then when they go to the next block, they don't check the block that says guilty. And on the top, you're left with not guilty. Okay?
So it's the absence of the check mark that the court determines is the not guilty finding by the jury.
Yes, that's what the verdict slip reads.
No, it doesn't. It absolutely does not say that. It says guilty check. And then the next line says choose one or both of the subordinate charges. Get out of here with all of that.
It reads not guilty. If they don't check block 2, 3, or 4, the verdict slip reads not guilty. Okay?
There's a flaw in that, though, because it says under the second charge, check. Yes, repeating myself. Glad she changed her tune. One or both. I think there was going to be a riot, I swear. I'd go there myself, to be honest. Do your freaking job right, Bev. That's right. Also, shout out again to OG Mod Gma, member for 28 months. I cannot fathom you having to put up with me for that long. Thank you so much for being with me that long. You deserve the best. And more of my shenanigans because I know you love it. So, let's go to Twitter because there was another thing that was mentioned that the jury wanted or requested the SERT team report. Some people don't know what that is, but I have extensively looked at that. I wonder how to, I'm really bad at X. I just tweet. That's it. I don't know how to search very well, but I'm going to try to find my tweets on this matter. Let me do advanced search. All right, let me go down. Search SERT team. I don't know how to do this, y'all. I'm just winging it out here in these streets. That's what I'm doing. Oh, that's not true. Anyway, we'll just search for SERT team. So they wanted the SERT team report that shows the details of what their findings were, which is a Massachusetts State Police branch off. It's a team that's accidental reconstructionist, basically, but through the Massachusetts State Police. But because all of the evidence is entered in the way that it is, and there was no SERT team report, just some details. They can't provide it anyway. So I'm not sure how the law works in Massachusetts on entering things that were not put into evidence for a later, cause for the jury. I don't know. But let's go to Sleuthy Goosey. Shout out to Sleuthy Goosey for the public Karen Reed Google sheet that has everything. Now, a lot of it's going to be pretrial motions that I remember seeing the SERT team. Oops, sorry, y'all. I remember seeing the SERT team details in the pretrial hearings, the motions. So let me look at what that is real fast. Be patient with me. All right. I'm just going to read it off. This is under Michael Proctor's probable cause. Okay, I'm just going to read it. On February 1st at 9 a.m., actually, I could probably pull it up here. Hold on. I think this is it. Yeah. All right. Oh, so much crap in here. Okay. On February 1st, 2022 at 9 a.m., members from the Massachusetts State Police Crime Scene Services Collision Analysis Reconstruction Section, CARS, and laboratory chemists processed the black Lexus bearing that registration at the Canton Police Department. Fragments of broken glass were observed on the rear bumper of the vehicle, which did not match the cocktail glass that John O'Keefe allegedly had. Which is ironic, isn't it? The rear light passenger side tail light was shattered and pieces missing from the red and clear areas. On the right side of the rear tailgate, a deep scratch and minor dent was observed. on the right side of the rear bumper. We've already seen this in the trial. Troopers from cars performed a rapid acceleration, which we saw. Trooper Paul, who did all of that good stuff. And then, there was missing key logs for the, in the report, which we all saw. Yeah. So anyway, on January 29th, the Massachusetts Special Emergency Response Team was activated, which was the search for the evidence around the scene, right? Remember that. When looking at 34 Fairview Road from the street, there is a fire hydrant on the far left of the property. Members from the SERT located the black Nike sneaker with a white Nike logo along the side. The sneaker located by SERT matches the one sneaker the victim was wearing at the time he was transported by EMS to Good Samaritan Hospital. In the same area, 2 red plastic pieces of taillight were discovered consistent to the missing pieces on Karen Reed's black Lexus SUV. Wrong. 1 piece of clear plastic piece of a taillight was located in the same area, also consistent with the broken taillight found on the Lexus SUV. So there's no SERT report, is there? Let me look at the defense's motion. One sec. You know what? Maybe there was a SERT. Copy of Massachusetts State Police SERT Unit Report and Diagrams. Okay, so it was entered in, but it was really late. Let's see. September of 2023. Good Lord. That's ridiculous. So that's the report, I'm assuming. That didn't have any notes, didn't have anything worth a damn. And it was... Hold on one second. I'm going to pull it up. Pull up something else. While we do that, while I look for that, there's so many documents in this case. I am going to look for any updates on a verdict. Hey, Magpie, good to see you, love. Oh, the infamous ceiling fan. We salute you. So let me listen to let's listen to what Bev says to the jury while I look up that info. There we go.
The verdict slip will go into the jury. I instruct.
Not that part. I did not grab the time stamps for this yet.
I get it. So I'm just going.
Oh, do you get it, Bev? Do you? Hey, Christy B. I live in this state. Never heard of not guilty on a manslaughter charge. Cops are dirty here. I'm telling you. And you know what? The thing that gets me is that I would be outraged. This is outrageous, as Unetti says. If I were to watch this or hear about this, or a family member comes to me while I'm sitting in prison and that happened to me, I'd be like, can we appeal this today? And what if they're dangerous? What if they really did commit the crime, but it's going to be overturned and a new trial happens? I mean, the taxpayers are suffering too. I know a lot of people hate that when I talk about the taxpayers and how a murder trial and all that stuff affects the town or county that you're in, but it does. It really does. So this negligence and this manipulation affects everybody. So that's why you need to be involved in your town, city town hall meetings, county. It doesn't matter. All of it. Know who the key players are who make decisions for your life. because all of this wasted tax money could go to something better for your children, for your future, for their future, for the safety of your community.
Goes back to session. You may be seated.
Judge, we have a question for the jury. It's been marked QQQ for identification.
So, question, can we request the SERT report detailing the search performed? So they can request it, but they can't get it. So I'm just.
Oh, well, that's all we needed to know. You know what that would tell me as a juror? What you hiding, Biv? What you hiding, Massachusetts State Police SERT team? So obviously, if they're requesting the report, it never went into evidence. But I'm looking here at the Commonwealth's motion on September 1st of 2023. And it says that diagrams and whatnot were entered. So that's why I got confused. Copy of Massachusetts State Police SERT Unit Report and Diagrams. So let's go back to Sleuthy Goosey's masterful spreadsheet. September 1st. Or it might be like before it. Let's see. So, this was, what date was this again? August 12th, 2022? No, there ain't no way. That's not it. Can't be that one. Commonwealth Notice of Discovery. Maybe it's this one. I have screenshots, so I don't know exactly what it is. Crime Scene Response Unit, CARS. Where is it? Is that not normal? Because I remember seeing a SERT team report for other crashes that were done. It didn't really relate to a murder or anything like that, but let's just look it up. Let's just see what the norm is for SERT team reports. Let's look. Hey, Carrie. I mean, not Carrie, Christy B. I never dreamed, says Jeep Girl, a verdict would have taken this long. Yeah, I know. I agree. All right, let's just look at these bad boys. Special Emergency Response Team. Ayo, they get four-wheelers with your tax dollars. But they can't provide a report. Jeez. The Special Emergency Response Team provides partner agencies with a highly trained and professional field force available on short notice for scenarios such as missing person searches, civil disturbances, special event crowd management, site security, or other situations where a cohesive unit of law enforcement officers may be needed. Oh, okay. Cool. So how do you report? How do you report? Because I know I've seen them. And I did request this. I did send a FOIA request, denied active investigation. Well, there wasn't one to give, right? We know that. Images. Maybe it wasn't a SERT team. Maybe it was a CARS report. I get them like mixed up all the time. Oh. Let's look at this one. This is just an example. MSP assistance rendered report date. Assist SERT with missing elderly male. Report respect to the server, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, they do have reports where they were assisted. So where is the report where the Massachusetts State Police has that information within it? Interesting. So there's no reason to not have something. Let's look at this one. They have to be open and transparent. Maybe not on everything. But the denial letter I have says it's just an active investigation, which it wasn't. The charges were brought. That was dumb. I don't know why they said that to me. Anyway, I'll have to look into it more. But that's very interesting. If it was entered into evidence, why is it not available? Maybe Bev didn't allow it in, or there was an issue. I don't think I remember hearing that, but whatevs. I don't know. Is there any updates? Nope, the ceiling fan is going strong. Okay, I'm going to keep playing this.
Just going to say you have all the evidence in this case. We'll figure that out. I'll get some language from you. But Mr. Jackson, after our hearing this morning, I considered what you said. I went back and I read the jury instructions I gave yesterday. So I do appreciate the concern about the confusion this might cause the jury. I think it's easily clarified with the supplemental instruction. I don't think it's the verdict slip. I think it's how they're to follow the verdict slip. So what I've written up, this is a very rough draft. I'll read it to you. I'll take a break and let you consider it if you want. And this works out. I received this, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, and I've been, the letter, the question from the jury. So it seems a good time, so I was working on this, it seems a good time to bring them in for an answer to that question. And I would say, as long as I have you here, I want to clarify my instructions regarding your verdict as to count 2 of the indictment. As I instructed you yesterday, there are 2 lesser offenses of that crime, which are involuntary manslaughter and motor vehicle homicide, felony, OUI, liquor, and negligence. Therefore, count 2 encompasses 3 separate charges, the most serious of which is manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. In considering count 2, you should first focus on the crime of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, and if the Commonwealth has failed to prove that crime beyond a reasonable doubt, then you are to consider the remaining lesser included offenses in descending order. The lead charge is manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. If you find that the Commonwealth has proved all 5 elements or proven be guilty of the lesser included offense of motor vehicle.
I'm skipping it because she basically repeats the same thing, but the different charges.
Homicide, OUI, liquor, and negligence. If, however, the Commonwealth has failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt all elements of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, and has failed to prove all of the elements of the lesser included offenses of involuntary manslaughter or motor vehicle homicide, felony, OUI, liquor, and negligence, then your verdict must be not guilty to count 2.
May I have just a moment?
Yes.
She really didn't want to put that not guilty up on the top. She really didn't.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be heard?
Yes.
I deeply appreciate the court's additional clarifying language. I would simply ask for one very simple amendment, and that is at the top of the verdict slip that says the 2 words, not guilty. we would ask that the verdict slip read not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense. That's it. And I think that and the court's clarifying instruction would satisfy the defense. Not I think, I know it will. That's all we ask.
All right.
I can repeat that if the court wishes.
So there are some like minor changes we have to make to the verdict slip anyway. Just, you know, it has to be consistent. So the manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence, the tab needs to, actually, Tori. So there needs to be some physical changes on the verdict slip. Anyway, it needs to be indented. There needs to be a colon after guilty of offense charged. It's not complete. It doesn't have under the influence of liquor. It just says under the influence. So there are some minor changes that need to be made to the verdict slip. Does the Commonwealth oppose the suggestion made by Mr. Jackson, which seems like a reasonable one?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so it will be not guilty. So just tell me again how you want it.
Sure.
You want-
Not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense.
Like every normal verdict slip out there, Beverly, she even mentioned to Yannetti, you have seen that before, I'm sure. But it wasn't in there. She was acting like it was. It's not going to work. We see through the fog, the smoke and mirrors, okay? We see it. And they got caught.
All right, I think the clarifying language that I proposed is important.
I do too, and I appreciate that. I think with that amendment to the slip and the clarifying language, I think coupling those up is exactly what the defense was asking for. I appreciate that.
So I need to clean, I'd like to send in a written copy of what I just read. I have a couple of things bolded. I need to fix this up a little bit. I mean, it was just done quickly. The jury's been waiting. Why don't we bring them in? And I will tell them that a new verdict slip will come into them. How's that? I do, though, have to make a finding that the verdict slip as is was proper. All right, so we'll just leave it at that.
I feel you, Karen. I feel you. Do you hear this? Look at Yannetti. Oh, shit. Girl, calm down. I know. We all know. Hold fire. Ceasefire. Yeah, I get it. I get it. You would feel the same way if you heard that it was proper. There was nothing proper about that verdict slip. And we know it because it directed you down to choose one or both of the subordinate charges of manslaughter under the influence of alcohol and with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or higher. If you sit here and tell anybody or me or your mama that that is appropriate and proper, have a good day. And GTFO. I'm sorry. These are people's lives that they have in their hands, and they're putting out verdict slips like this. No, thank you. I don't want to hear it. It's beyond argument. There's no devil's advocate, which is actually, I hate devil's advocacy. That whole thing sucks. This was wrong. But she mentions, got to tell the jury it was proper. Nothing was really wrong with it. We just wanted to make it a little better. No, Bev, it was wrong. You lied. You tried to manipulate the jury through this. You were told about this yesterday, and you chose not to do anything about it and thought you could slide under the radar, but these defense attorneys know better.
I'll make the amendment that you want, but that's my finding.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just from a logistics standpoint, once the new verdict slip is prepared and ready,
We all need
Stay
to see
calm,
it.
lady.
I was just going to ask. We have
Karen, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but if somebody could tell her, stay calm. Easy does it. We're almost there.
that email to us or something.
Yeah, we all need to see it. I will work with Tori. All right, can we bring the jurors in, please? Oh, I'm sorry. What suggested language on the SERT report?
I'm sorry, Judge.
Any suggested language on their question?
No.
Yeah, I have a suggestion, even though I don't mean shit to her or the court or the jury. Why don't you tell them that they didn't have a report? First of all, the SERT team, I was reminded by lovely illuminated mind, and we read this earlier, they don't usually come up to look at these kinds of things like evidence collection. They're typically for missing people, right? We just read this. The Special Emergency Response Team is for missing persons searches, civil disturbances, special crowd management, site security, things to keep everything in check, not evidence collection. Now, they are good at looking for things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are certified in evidence collection, obviously, or report taking for that matter. Eve, look at your text real quick. Yes, ma'am. Lord help us. Yeah, I saw that. Thank you, Jeep Girl. I was going to bring that up. Let me pull it up. So what are we talking about? It's about Jim McCabe. Now, they said that it was not Jim McCabe that wrote this message in, I guess, Law and Crime, was it? Yep, Law and Crime chat. But let me just pull up what we're talking about. She basically, there was a parody account. It says, Jennifer McCabe. I received multiple calls from relatives and friends of the jurors informing me that the jury has reached a guilty verdict and is now just having lunch. We finally have justice for our friend John. Now, I believe somebody said that they figured out it was a fake account, maybe? Let me look. Yeah. This guy, Rob Vaughn, now we know it's a fake. His chick's parm is disgusting, so that would be Chris Albert. I don't know if it is Chris Albert, but Sleepy says dangerous to the case to not have parody in the visible name, which is true. Absolutely. You could report that user for sure if you felt so inclined to. Absolutely. But there's trolls like that all the time. I just disregard it. It could Mel. Not saying it is or anything. It could be one of Vic and Mel's trolls. It could be anybody. Not saying it is at all whatsoever. It just, it happens sometimes, trolls. Yep. Yeah. Sleuthy was on the same page as me. Look, really, all you got to do is just put it to what it should be. Miss Bev, that. I'm so mad about that. I will never forget that. This is why you must look at your documents, even if you pay lawyers to do it for you. Take a look at them yourselves too. You never know. This is your freedom on the line. Can't fault Brian Koberger, even, who I believe is guilty of the crimes that are alleged on him. I do believe he did that, but also he has a defense attorney doing the work, looking at the things that she correctly pointed out were erroneous and there were errors. I mean, it's just the way it is. That's your right to defend yourself. All right.
I think the court's correct that in terms of the SERT report request, the court's answer is right on point, which is you are directed to you're directed to review the evidence that's in front of you, and that's it.
I'm just going to say you have all the evidence in this case. We will not give you anything. Okay.
Rise for the jury.
Real quick, should have just went to Doc Aiden Kearney. The jury wants a SERT team report. The problem is the state police didn't do one, so they left empty-handed. This is promising for 3 reasons. 1, when juries can't get evidence they need, it leads to reasonable doubt. Boom. 2, it's odd and unprofessional not to have a report and leads the jury to believe that the defense was right to criticize the police. Boom. Number 3, it suggests they are discussing opportunity to plant taillight. Boom. He is absolutely right, in my opinion. They need to know that the police report does not exist. Militikalala says what we all, I think, agree to. The jury needs to know the truth. And what I said earlier, I'm nobody, but if it was me, I would argue that they need to know it doesn't exist. That's what I was looking for, guys. This right here. That's what I was looking for. So this was basically, I think the bail reduction hearing, maybe. Irregardless. That's what I was looking for. The district attorney's office did not produce any notes until September 29, 2023. So there's probably what I was looking for in Sleepy's stuff.
Voluntary manslaughter. If all the evidence in the case, so what you have is the evidence in the case, you won't be receiving any additional. All the evidence. And we request the SERT report detailing the search performed. I take this as a request, and the answer is that you folks, you have all the evidence in the case. So what you have is the evidence in the case. You won't be receiving any additional evidence. But as long as I have you here, I want to clarify my instructions regarding your verdict is to count 2 of the indictment. As I instructed you yesterday, there are 2 lesser offenses of that crime, which are involuntary manslaughter and motor vehicle homicide, felony OUI, liquor, and negligence. Therefore, count 2 encompasses 3 separate charges, the most serious of which is manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. In considering count 2, you should first focus on the crime of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, and if the Commonwealth has failed to prove that crime beyond a reasonable doubt, then you are to consider the remaining lesser included offenses in descending order. So the lead charge is manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. If you find that the Commonwealth has proven all 5 elements of this charge beyond a reasonable doubt, then your verdict shall be guilty of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. If, however, you find that the Commonwealth has not proven all 5 elements of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, then you are to consider whether the Commonwealth has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the 3 elements of the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter. If the Commonwealth has proven the 3 elements of involuntary manslaughter, then your verdict shall be guilty on the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter. If, however, you find the Commonwealth has failed to prove change the spacing a little bit to make it a little bit clearer for you. Okay, so we'll get that into you in the next 10 minutes. All right, thank you all very much.
What a bunch of bull honking doo-doo, guys. I'm sorry. I know that's petty and not professional, but at some point, you just have to call it for what it is. As silly as that term is, it is bullshit. So let's listen to Kevin O'Hara, who was on the stand, I believe, 2 weeks prior to the last day 30. So whatever that day was.
Is it important to maintain the integrity of a crime scene before it's searched or processed?
No, you can leave it unattended if you don't believe it'll be disturbed or anything will be taken, sir.
Is it preferable to leave a crime scene unattended prior to searching it?
No, I think they would have searched it before we arrived, yes, sir.
Again, I'm going to ask if you would, please just
Oh,
respond to my
what
question.
my preference would be, sir, yes, I'd prefer that it was secured.
Okay, that wasn't very difficult.
Apologize.
Objection, Your Honor.
So, no comments, Ms. Giannetti.
At the time that Lieutenant Tully first called you, were you aware that no one from law enforcement was controlling that crime scene?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I was not aware of that, no, sir.
Were you aware at that time that no one had been controlling it for about 6 or 7 hours before you were called?
I was not aware of that, sir.
Were you aware that the scene had been abandoned by the police and investigators at about 7:50 in the morning?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I was not aware of that, sir.
Were you aware that the scene was left open to the public for hours before you were asked to search?
I was not aware of that.
All right, in any case, when you got there, there was only one trooper on scene, and that was a trooper from your unit,
Correct, sir.
Beausoleil?
Correct.
Nobody else was guarding the crime scene at that point, correct?
There was not.
Oh, well, that's very telling, isn't it? Lots of things weren't done. And maybe they're going over this part of the trial, and maybe Lieutenant O'Hara is on their minds. Let's see what was going on during that time. Thank you, Brandy Churchill, for this other wonderful Google spreadsheet that kind of gives everything. Summary of the testimony, timestamps, who was who, what day they testified. So let's look at. There's Proctor, Tully. Where's O'Hara? There he is, day 19, 6/3. So it wasn't too far off, a few weeks ago. So that was again day 19. All right, so here's some photos of the crime scene. I'm still confused on the sneaker being the right shoe right here. Doesn't it look like the right shoe? Because isn't the Nike check on the outside of the shoe? I'm still confused on that. But did she not update 19? Or is it me? Uh-oh. She didn't. Well, damn. That's okay. So what else was going on? Let's scroll down 1 second. Oh, that doesn't help. Day 18. All right, never mind. But we just listened to it. I mean, we really don't need. I'm sorry, y'all. I just saw this. Official report, SERT team. Best team ever. She's guilty, okay? We found stuff. Oh, that's rich. I'm just going to leave this here for a second. I'm going to take about a 3 to 5 minute break. I'll be right back, guys. If you leave, just make sure to come back. If you don't come back, hit that like button on your way out. I'll be right back. There, I put the fan on. All right. Back at it again. So let's look and see where we're at. Are we live? Yep. Still waiting and waiting. So I'm very interested now that I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at why they would ask for clarification on the not guilty part. Wouldn't that hint or suggest that they're wanting that not guilty on the second degree? Or I'm not sorry, not the second degree murder, but the second charge of manslaughter, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you think the jury is asking about those instructions because they want to consider a not guilty. Or 2, they're just simply confused. I'd like to know what you think. Yep, 3 minutes. Let's read some of the comments on law and crime in the chat while we wait. Just pop that bad boy out. See what the trolls are saying. Anthony says not guilty on all charges. TikTok, says Anne Marie. Officially 7 hours of deliberation. Lookup says I would like a full investigation done on the jurors. Too much tampering and corruption in this trial. Is she suggesting that the jurors are tampering with things? Wow. Lookup doesn't like your rights. She wants them to be violated, I guess. Wow, that's interesting. The verdict is the verdict is either today by 4 p.m. or Friday, I would say. I would agree. Yeah, now blame the jurors. You all are too much. That's what I think. Christina, the McCabe's and Alberts deserve a gift for helping to prove that Karen is innocent. I agree. House long until Jen is jailed. Agree. I bit him. Chloe. Yep. Where are you, Chloe? Where are you? So Santat says it was one holdout, a middle-aged Hispanic woman talking about a juror who, according to her post-verdict interview, gave in under pressure. Said in hindsight she regretted not standing her ground. I have not heard of a juror being interviewed. Has anybody else? I know that Fall River reporter Jessica Machado, I think is how you say her name, said, if anybody knows this jury, give her my information to contact me so that she can interview her or him, whoever it is. Let's look. It's probably going to be on Twitter. Just reading, guys. 1 second. Let's just look on Twitter or X. Sorry, I always forget. It's X. That is so awesome. Oh my God. The humor in that community is beautiful, by the way. Interview. Good to see you. One life to live. Hope everything's going swimmingly. So Julia Janae from Court TV says deliberations resume. That was 4 hours ago. Jurors are already about their business. They sent a forward-looking note, which we just went over, to the judge this morning saying one juror has a commitment later today and they'd like to stop deliberations at 4. So that's why they wanted to stop at 4, because I think that the judge can ask, do you want to continue on into the night or after hours, if you will, to continue deliberations. So, all right. Let's do latest. If the court needed to interview a juror, this was back in a few weeks ago when they dismissed one. Why was the sidebar not done in chambers? I agree with that. Like, why was it handled the way that it was? I have a lot of questions about how this case was handled in trial. Let me go to Fall River. That was 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago. These are the verdict slips in the Chestnut and Adams cases. Let's look at that. That's a good example. Okay, let's look at this. I don't know who that is. I don't know what the charges were, but it's murder, okay, of this person. In the above entitled case, we, the jury, upon our oath, find the defendant not guilty, number 1. Number 2, not guilty by reason of insanity. 3, guilty of murder in the first degree. 4, guilty of murder in the second degree. So they just check which one they want, I guess, or initial. That's kind of odd. God, that is so misleading. So it is a theme. So that is very alarming. Let's look and see what Miss Jessica
Machado
says.
from Fall River Reporter. I'm going to give you guys a minute to jump on. I'm standing outside of Norfolk Superior Courthouse. I just spoke with Karen Reed's brother, and the family wants to ensure that this information gets out to the public. They believe that the jury is being directed towards a guilty verdict based on the sheets. Just don't call me anybody right this second. Don't message me. So the sheets that the jurors are given, they are listed with the first charge and then subsequent charges afterwards. The first charge shows a box for guilty or not guilty that they can check, but the subsequent charges only have a guilty box, no not guilty box. And when it was discovered by the defense team, they called into question immediately that each one of the charges should have a guilty or not guilty option for each charge. But according to the Reed family, and I'm sure what people have been able to see on TV, the sheet only has the first charge as a guilty and not guilty, and then the second and subsequent charges only show guilty and no option for not guilty. They believe that this is directing the jury towards a guilty verdict. I was told by the Reed family that if a guilty verdict comes back, they will appeal. They do not believe this can be changed. It has been decided. They seem very tense, very upset. And that's all I have right now. I'll get you more as I have it.
Yep. Nuts. I wonder if we're going to get a verdict slip that's updated. That'd be nice. Doubt it, but all right. I don't know what else to cover without going into detail, and then by that time it would be the verdict would be put out there, and then I would be really upset. Every verdict prediction poll that I have seen out there says, for the majority, Karen Reed will be not guilty of all charges, but specifically second-degree murder. I have to agree with that. Why should she be charged at all? I agree with that too. So for now, gosh, it's only 7 minutes in, so we're going to give it a little bit more time. So I'm going to be right back again. I'm going to warm up my coffee, call Mr. E for a quick second, and I'll be right back again. What about that hot mic earlier? We can play it again. We can play it again. Why not? I don't remember how long into the day it started. There it is. All right, be right back.
What is back in session? You may be seated.
22117.
All right, so why are we out here?
Your Honor, I just saw the verdict forms, and as we discussed yesterday, the amendments the court indicated it would make a verdict.
Oh, no. Okay, I did not say I'd make it. I said I'd think about it. I said I was tired and I needed to think about it.
You said before you retired.
Real quick, look at Karen Reed's face. Are you fucking kidding? I gotta use my beep beep again. Are you kidding me? This raggedy. That was my thoughts anyway.
And you needed to think about it was you agree that there needs to be not guilty options for subordinate charges under count 2.
I said that it made sense to me, but no, I did not change it upon looking at it because the verdict slip, this verdict slip as submitted to the jury, is exactly how it always is in Massachusetts.
I ask you a question. I don't really care how it always is in Massachusetts. I care about whether or not it's appropriate.
It's appropriate.
Different things.
It's appropriate.
Let me make my argument, if you wouldn't mind, Judge, why it's not appropriate. For a superior charge, they have to decide that she is not guilty of the superior charge, and that is the starting point of whether or not she is guilty or not guilty of any subordinate charge, often called a lesser included. Once they decide that she's not guilty of the superior charge, now there's two additional charges that they've been instructed they must decide whether she's guilty or not guilty of. How do they decide that she's not guilty of the first subordinate charge, involuntary manslaughter?
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Mr. Jackson?
I'd like an answer from the court. How do they decide that she's not guilty of involuntary manslaughter on that verdict?
That's their decision to make.
And how do they make it if they don't have an option to check a box that says not guilty?
They don't check the box that says guilty, do they? And then when they go to the next block, they don't check the block that says guilty, and on the top, you're left with not guilty. Okay?
So it's the absence of the check mark that the court determines is the not guilty finding by the jury.
Yes, that's what the verdict slip reads. It reads not guilty. If they don't check block 2, 3, or 4, the verdict slip reads not guilty. Okay? That's how it is, Mr. Jackson.
Well, apparently that's how it's going to be because of the court's order. That is not how it should be, and it's over our strong objection. They need to see that there is a not guilty option for the subordinate charges. If they come back guilty on, for instance, involuntary manslaughter, that's immediately appealable. They didn't have an option on the verdict form to find her not guilty. It's almost like the court is directing a verdict of the subordinate charges.
Okay. I disagree with you. Mr. Yannetti, you've seen verdict slips exactly like this. Okay?
I actually haven't, Your Honor.
Have you had no lesser includeds?
No, we've always had lesser included, but I have not seen a verdict slip there where not guilty is not an option for the rest.
Okay, I disagree with you. All right,
I don't see the
excuse me. This is funny, Ms. Reed. All right, we're done.
All rise to the court, please.
Well, it wasn't funny. It's the audacity. That was the look she gave. No, not a hot mic when the camera showed the courtroom. Oh. Well, let me just rewind and show you.
Almost like the court.
These people.
I disagree with you.
Paul and family.
Excuse me. This is funny, Ms. Reed. All right, we're done.
All rise to the court, please.
Paul had a little smirk on that one, and so did this one right here. Where is she? And that one. Ooh, the gnarl on this woman. I get tired of seeing her. I really do. Oh, so irritating. And, you know, people wonder why Karen didn't do any, you know, sympathy towards, like, look at me, I'm going through all of these horrible things to the jury, because no matter what, she's going to be slighted, whether it be on social media, you know, or it's just going to make it worse for her. So I get why she wasn't concerned about the jury. I don't think it would have helped her cause, honestly. The evidence shows in itself what they did to her. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Wonder if there's any updates in the actual filings. I'm going to check. You never know. By the way, anybody could do this. Look it up. Was that recently, Chima, that there was a hot mic moment where Bev said it was a not guilty verdict? Ooh, okay, well, let's go back. Nope, there's nothing updated. Was that like right at the end of the last? It was after the video dismissal for lunch. Okay, let's listen. That was like an hour and 15 minutes ago. Okay. OG fan. Has it been longer? Hold on, y'all. I'm lagging. Now, sometimes I'll pick it up on different
Then you are
videos.
to consider whether the Commonwealth has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the three elements of the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter. If the Commonwealth has proven the three elements of involuntary manslaughter, then your verdict shall be guilty on the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter. If, however, you find the Commonwealth has failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the crime of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle and negligence, a little bit clearer for you. Okay, so we'll get that into you in the next 10 minutes. All right, thank you all very much.
Court will be in recess.
Was it Law and Crime? I didn't hear it. Some didn't listen because the fan was showing on screen, but it was bad saying, nah, wait until after lunch for the verdict to be said. Okay. Was it 20 minutes after this? This one right here? Okay. Well, let's see. Oh, I remember what you're talking about now. I'm sorry, because there was another update. I know what you're talking about. Okay. Right here. Gotcha. OG mod, you the best.
We're back in session. You may be seated.
Judge, we're back on the record on 22117. Counsel have both had an opportunity to look at the new verdict slip.
All right, so does the defense say the verdict slip's in order?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, and we appreciate the call.
Okay, does the Commonwealth say the verdict slip's in order?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so the verdict slip will go in. Officer Delano, I'll let you do what you're doing. All right, so the verdict slip will go into the jury. I instruct you or Officer Leiden to remove verdict slip for count number 2 from the jury, have the jurors fold it, put it in an envelope, and seal it. And we'll bring that in and we'll mark that for identification. I'm also going to send in a transcript of the supplemental instruction I gave this morning. May we mark that? Madam Court Reporter, please. I have copies for counsel if you'd like. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, we'll be in recess. And you'll remember that the jurors were instructed that we won't take any questions or verdict during 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Okay?
Sorry, there was a delay, a disconnect, if you will. I'm going to put it on 2x to see if I can hear anything. So we will wait. Sorry for the dead air. Just trying to listen for that alleged not guilty whisperings of the judge. While I'm listening, I'm looking up to see if anyone else noticed it. So give me just a second. Okay, so I heard what you were talking about, and I don't believe, excuse me, I don't believe that was what was said. It's very hard to hear. I have no idea what was said, but I can't even make out what it is. But you know what? We'll know. We will know when we know. I have a feeling the verdict is coming. I'm not sure. Gma. I don't know what happened or what was said. While we wait, here is John DePetro, which is a horrible, horrible, in my opinion, radio host, who has been anti-Karen Reed from day one. So let's look at what he says to be Karen Reed in full meltdown mode.
Wait, right here. All right, you got it. Wait, right here. All right, you got it.
Hey, Carla, we are waiting for the verdict. What time was this? 10:09 a.m. So that was after the hearing where she thought the verdict slip wasn't going to change. I could understand why she would be freaking the hell out with panic on her face, but we know that that has been changed and corrected as it should have. So that makes a lot of sense. So this is irrelevant now, John DePetro, with your biased news coverage. Well, you're not even a journalist. You're just a radio host, right? A sucky one. Karen Reed deserves a fair trial. Please do something about your corrupt law enforcement officers and judges. Judge Cannone has got to goies. Witness doesn't know when you trade in phones is erased. Right. Hey, Carla, good to see you, love. We see her demons. Oh my God, the reach on these people. Does anybody know if Braden Carney? I know that Ellie Mae or whatever that troll is Juliana Nagel, allegedly. I always thought it was Chris. There's like, it's either Matt, Sean McCabe, Chris Albert, potentially Brian Albert. I don't think Brian Albert would be so stupid as to go on Twitter, but I think it's Chris Albert or Sean McCabe, Matt McCabe. All of these trolls. Obviously, from the looks of Chris Albert and how his kids act when someone goes to eat at an establishment, right? Oh, great opportunity to talk about Sandra Birchmore, okay? I agree with Jesselyn. I hope that the energy that we are seeing for Karen Reed transfers to poor Sandra. I saw this case before I ever saw the Karen Reed case. Horrifying. I had heard about this case a few times. I immediately went, oh shit, she was murdered. Because she was pregnant and the cop didn't want anybody to find out all of the whatever went on. I did not know how deep the evil of this man went. And the two other police officers who were involved in grooming this poor then child, okay, at 15 years old. So we definitely need to go over this and share her information, because ironically, Michael Proctor investigated this case, and Lank and Kevin Albert are involved in the investigation and on the reports, including Gallagher as well. Lank, of course, misspelled a few names, got the dates and times wrong. Do you see the similarities in the Karen Reed case with Sandra Birchmore already? And I'm not just talking out of my arse here. It's legit, and it's been exposed through the court documents that has been blasted everywhere. You can go look it up yourself. I think that is an excellent idea, Jessie Lynn. I agree. Share that information on your platforms, watchers and viewers and subscribers. The real MVP, that is right. So yeah, I definitely want to go over Sandra Birchmore, that poor woman. Oh my goodness. I mean, she started off, losing her mom, living with her grandmother. So not to judge or anything like that, because that's not my place. But typically with females, when they don't have their parents in their lives and the grandparents or another care provider is taking care of them, it's much more difficult, right, to be involved in every single thing that they're doing. But she was in a program where police officers should have protected her and not used her and exploited her for their own viciousness and vileness. And that's exactly what Mr. Farewell did, and two other cops. So not only were there pedophiles in the group, but she was trying to seek out, a career path as a police officer one day, but she was taken advantage of and exploited all throughout her life until the end of her life. She was allegedly murdered by the man that got her pregnant, who, remind you, he was married. So we definitely need to get into that case. It is ridiculous. And, I have a feeling that it might be involved in the federal investigation somehow. Maybe not directly, but maybe there are findings that are coming out. Secrets are exposing through the federal investigation of John's investigation, right? Maybe there's some consistencies and patterns. Maybe they looked at how they tried to cover up this case and Karen Reed's case and comparing it to what they tried or did do in Sandra's case. We'll see. That's all alleged. It's not, a fact, but It's a potential. It's a good thought. Who knows? Who knows? Nothing yet. I am so anxious, y'all. So anxious. I would assume that a verdict would have come back by now. I mean, if you think about it, all of the testimony is so circumstantial with I hit him. There was not one camera that picked up I hit him. But we do have How Song to Die in Cold from Jim McCabe, Matt McCabe texting the group, tell him the guy never went in the house. The guy. Sneaking around taking photos of the crime scene in front of the, what was Matt's words? The Asian's house. That's just like a snippet of the entirety of the issues and weirdness around the third-party culprits and friends and company, in my opinion. Oh, look at that. That's a great picture. And look at Miss Elizabeth Little. She is looking sharp, foxy lady. She is in it to win it. John, again, here we go. Here is Karen Reed saying this is a fucking joke while laughing. Well, let's listen. He's been known to lie a lot.
Okay, I disagree with you. Excuse me? This is funny, Ms. Reed? All right, we're done.
All rise for the court, please.
Okay, I disagree with you. All right, excuse me? This is funny, Ms. Reed? All right, we're done.
All rise for the court, please.
I didn't hear anything of the sort, did you? I heard nothing. I didn't hear anything that came out of her mouth. I didn't even see her lips move. He lies, y'all. He lies. Joey just saying, love Joey just saying, excuse me, this is funny to you, Ms. Reed? Okay, we're done. Judge Beverly Cannone to Karen Reed after denying a simple defense request. Thank God she did the right thing. Which was, again, adding not guilty as options for the subordinate charges Karen also faces. Oh, if you didn't know, there was a mistrial in a suspect that was charged with murdering a police officer and a civilian, a bystander. And this is her dramatic mic moment during this mistrial.
Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial.
Chesna's stunned family was quickly escorted from the courtroom, and a disappointed Weymouth police chief spoke outside.
No family should have to endure what this family is enduring right now.
Your service is complete.
I get so tired of that squeaky mic, that creaky mic that she slaps away when she's pissed off. If I hear something like that one more time, I'm going to lose it. Oh, Lord, get some mics. Get better mics. I've had it. Objection. Oh, perfect. So I don't know if anybody knows this, but I don't have a problem with how Turtle Boy does his thing. A lot of people don't like it. I find it to be necessary in the times, right? You got to have some balls of steel to fight this, in my opinion, corrupt government here. So I think that it was necessary to do what he had to do. Now, did he go too far sometimes? Yep. We all do. He's got 16 felony witness and intimidation charges that were improperly imposed on him. So there's that. right? But this is amazing because Chris Albert is involved in this. He is a Canton Select Board. He is on the Canton Select Board. And the citizens were outraged. This is outrageous. And they spoke their minds on how they felt about Chris Albert's behavior regarding the Canton downtown assault on Turtle Boy from Jill Daniels.
Like I mentioned, we have received hundreds of emails regarding this. The select board is perfectly within its right to make this appointment or not make this appointment. So we are not looking for additional input from the public at this time. Yep, that's fine. Mr. McCourt?
Stop it.
Folks, settle down or I'm going to ask you to leave. Mr. White, settle down or I'm going to ask you to leave. Mr. White.
You mean to tell me you're going to make this decision
Mr. Colburn?
the residents of this community?
Nope, I am not. In fact, I told you the exact opposite of that. All right. Folks.
There's Chris Albert, Brian Albert's brother. Again, Brian Albert is the owner of 34 Fairview in Canton, where John O'Keefe was found dead on his lawn. That's his brother, who we saw on the stand. And he's a piece of shit.
Hold on. All right, Mr. Delgado, you're being disrespectful. This is the meeting. He asked to leave.
You gotta shut this down. Shut the meeting down.
Mr. Delgado, I'm giving one chance. Okay, can you please ask him to leave? Ms. Lombardi. Mr. Delgado, you're asked to leave. Nope. Ms. Lombardi, nope. We've heard your opinions. We're well aware. Yeah, I have not called you that, sir. All right. Thank you, Mr. Delgado. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
I never said that.
All right, but that's bad for
Mr. Lombardi.
Mr. Lombardi says that he said the N-word. And it went, I don't know that to be true.
No, we are not seeking public
That's just
input.
alleged,
I apologize.
but it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. Perfect timing again. Chris Albert at the Waterfall Bar with Brian Higgins. Has anybody seen the enhanced footage of the little debacle here? So this is at 11:57 that night. It's at the Waterfall Bar. Let's watch the interaction slow down a little bit. I'm going to put it on half speed. All right. So there's Kolakethis, Karen Reed back here. Over here is Caitlin Albert hugging somebody. I don't even know who that is. I think Chris Albert. Nope, that's Brian Higgins right here. Brian Albert. Oh, they're playing it on half speed. Look. Or no, I'm so sorry. This is Chris Albert grabbing Brian Higgins' hand or arm, pulling it. I apologize. Brian Higgins is saying something. And look at John O'Keefe 10 minutes later. And Chris Albert's like, shrug, shrug. I don't know. Even though I texted you, get down here or I'm going to fuck up your yard. So there goes John. Or not there goes John, but he's probably thinking, what the hell? And isn't that a beer? Not a cocktail glass? Is that a beer in his hand? That's what it looks like to me. He sets it down. Chris Hopper's like, whoa, I don't know what's going on. Then, okay, so there's the cocktail glass. That's right. That's right. That he drinks from, which was allegedly Karen Reed's, and he walks out. Why did he do that, I wonder? Was there anything in that drink? Would be interesting to know. Let's look at Brian Higgins again. Brian Higgins, Brian Albert. Is that Brian Albert? Yeah. There's John O'Keefe over here. Not even looking at them. Brian Higgins, rather. Chris Albert. Grabs his arm and goes, hey, something, something. Brian Higgins goes, something, something. Because we don't know, we can't hear. 10 minutes later. There's Matt McCabe. Right here, Jen's husband. Chris Albert, John. He's probably going, the fuck? I want to remind everybody that in the text messages that we saw in the trial, John is getting over a hangover. It seems he just sobered up basically, right? When he's texting Karen that day. So he had been drinking the night before, enough so to where, he's recovering midday. And so when you're doing basically the hair of the dog later that night, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that his blood alcohol level was what? Over twice the legal limit, 0.21 rather, excuse me. So yeah, Karen might look like she drinks a lot from the text, but I think John O'Keefe drinks a lot or did drink a lot. 0.28. Yeah, it was like 0.21 to 0.28, his toxicology report. So he really isn't that innocent either on the drinking part. And I can understand why he was sassy with Karen. Not feeling too well, trying to sober up from the night before. Right? And I wonder, where were they the night before? So 3x. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Brooke, thank you. 3 times the legal limit. So my question is there somebody that maybe knows more about the reason for John going into D&E Pizza more so than just to grab a bite to eat with his nephew? I've always wondered that. And we forget that Chris Albert texts John, where are you? When he gets to Waterfall. They were at, Karen and John were at C.F. McCarthy's at that point. I think it was 9:45, something like that. So there has to be something more that they obviously did not divulge, right? There's something in the background that's missing. I think a lot of people agree with that. I don't know. What do you think? People in the chat. So what was their plan? Well, again, as I've said many times, in 2021, John O'Keefe reported to Kevin Albert alleged drug activity, which was, I think, entered into evidence that we did not hear at all. Not to my recollection. Just that it was mentioned, but not the details of that. There was video, like maybe, I don't know if it was Zoom. I'm not really sure. But there were details, text messages, things that were entered into evidence that we didn't get to hear. And I wonder if that was Judge Cannone's choice. I don't know. But a year goes by and this happens to him. And I want to remind everybody what John did. What was it, 2011 or maybe 2014? Don't quote me. But back then, when his sister passed away and then his brother-in-law passed away, he was on desk duty. And you know what he did? Either then or following that, he was in the sex offender unit to capture or help apprehend predators of children. And then you have to realize, Sandra Birchmore, you have to think about that for a minute. That was a long time ago, I will admit, but you have to think about it. And then all of a sudden, Brian Higgins shows up on scene a year, during that time of Kevin Albert. And then all of a sudden, Karen Reed catches his fancy. There is just something going on there. Sorry, I had to disconnect. He's rolling down and calls, hey, weed whacker, that whole thing. Why was he there? What was he doing? Why was he turning around his vehicle to talk to Karen Reed? Just because of a flirt? I just don't feel like that's right. There's something wrong there, in my opinion. But who am I? And what made this situation happen and go down where Brian Higgins is flipping out? Why? It's just weird. See if there's any updates in the news. GML says, either way, John was deceased 30 minutes after that, Bard. Video I agree. At a very specific time, in my opinion. At least we know from the medical examiner from California on the defense's side. I cannot remember his name. It just escapes me. But he said that whatever happened, whatever hit John O'Keefe in the back of the head, knocked him unconscious, which gave me a little relief because I would assume that he wasn't aware of too much pain. I really hope, because those skull fractures are immense. Those radial skull fractures. Right? Oy. All right, guys, I'm going to end this live and start a new one because I'm having connection issues. After a certain point, like after 2 hours, it starts to just nosedive. So I'm going to restart one once we get an inkling that things are starting to move into the courtroom. So thank you for being here. Hit that like button again. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully we'll get a verdict today. Bye, guys.